Yes.
Nah.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Ya Allah. تفضل تفضل.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yeah, Abu Sa'id. Hope you're doing well. Hope your family as well. Is Omar, Said's older brother. I wanted to ask if it's possible to get some kalam or some advice from Mufti regarding the above video I sent you. It's the recent thing that's happened in Speaker's Corner. And basically, one of the kuffars or Jedi of the dreadlocks. Over the last few months or years, there's certain times where he's physically attacked certain Muslim individuals in the park. So last week, something similar happened. He approached one of the brothers and he insulted the brother's mum. So the brother got upset and he went for a punch. And he's an he's an old brother, and he's a small brother as well. So he didn't really catch him properly, and there happened to be a few of them. So one of them held him down and they gave him a few punches and they flinged him on the floor and all of that. So once the brother saw that, Muhammad Hijab and some of the other brothers that we know locally, they were very upset. So they decided to meet up and this Sunday to go to the park and approach the brother, and they actually wanted to deal with him physically because the way they dealt with the Muslim and the way they've been dealing with the Muslims physically, attacking them, and no one doing nothing to them, it kind of makes the Muslims feel weak. Alhamdulillah, we've got strong brothers. We've got brothers around that are ready to defend the Muslims, and so they decided to go and take matters into their own hands. But what some people are saying, what you lot done wasn't right, and it should have been dealt better. But our argument is this is to show the world that you can't mess with Muslims. If you're gonna mess with one Muslim, just expect that Ummah's gonna come for you. So Allah Akbar, some people are saying different stuff. So it'd be nice to get some kalam from Mufti and advise us and see what how to deal with the situation next time. Obviously, we'll not let them spubs, mobjias, just stand there and watch the brothers get beaten up. They'll probably laugh and probably love it.
Allahu
People
Akbar.
don't really agree with the way they move in regards. Even if you disagree with someone, it doesn't mean you don't try to defend them and stuff.
طيب.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi. Hope all is well with you and the brothers there.
طيب. Allah bless you. Ameen. Bismillah. First question is regarding an incident that happened. He said Hyde Park a couple days ago or last week with regards to a Muslim being attacked, right? And it happened before. There's some type of dreadlock or some type of whatever non-Muslim had physically transgressed on a Muslim before, and they just did it again. Then we have our brothers, some of the Muslims, whether it's brother Muhammad Hijab, I give him the success to all that which is good. Him, Ali Dawa, and anyone else that's trying to call the people to that which is beneficial and that which is correct, and that which will be a means of their souls being saved on the day of judgment. I mean, they wanted to retaliate, or they did retaliate, something like this, and physically take a stance with regards to defending the Muslims and protecting the Muslims from getting hit or beat up, things like this, correct? Right. And what kalam do we have on this issue? What is our position? What do we say? Are we like, we won't mention the people that he mentioned for one reason or another. Those who just turn the other cheek, as we say, they turn the other cheek. Someone punches them or hits them and they don't say anything. Or worse than that, is someone hits someone and beats up a Muslim that they're not cool with, or they consider to be a deviant or whatever. They're from the set, whatever. They're not in our clique. So, you can trample on them, stomp on them. It doesn't matter to us. All right? What is the way? Do we become violent and militant, go up and beat up and knock out the kuffar? Or do we just turn the other cheek and say, deaf, dumb, and blind, hear no evil, see no evil, it wasn't us, they're Ahlul Bid'ah, they deserve to get beat up by the kuffar, so on and so forth. This is a reality. What is the correct stance and position on this? Jazakallah khairan wa alaikum salam. First and foremost to you, Abu Sa'id, for giving me the message. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless those brothers, inshallah, who are listening and watching in from the UK. All right, whether it's brother Umar or Abu Sa'id, or all the brothers at Masjid Tarbiyah, Abdul Latif, our man, huh? Hopefully he's watching, huh? Assalamu alaikum, Abdul Latif. That's mashallah, good brother. All of the brothers in the UK, huh? Noor, Abu Isa, the brothers that we love for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Alhamdulillah, Muhammad, the whole squad. All right, may Allah bless you. And we hope to see you soon, inshallah. Perhaps in autumn and the fall, we'll have the ability to go back and do more damage. Inshallah, by the permission of Allah. Tayyib. So what do you have to say about that? Well, I mean, this situation, in my humble opinion, it's a reflection of our general state. Our general state of being split up, of being divided, of being separated, of being weak. Not all of us, but many of us. Spiritually weak, first and foremost. Mentally weak. Physically weak. Financially weak. Politically weak. All right? It reflects the concept of how much we love the kuffar. And how much we want to be like them and look like them and talk like them and be protected by them. It is a reflection on how much hatred we have for a fellow Muslim and how we make 1,000,001 excuses for kuffar and mushrikun and not one excuse for a Muslim, no matter what the Muslim is upon. Unless, and we've said this before, you really don't believe and feel in your heart that that person is a Muslim. Because he's a deviant as if he's a kafir. That's unfortunate. You don't think the kuffar are seeing this and watching this? You don't think they're paying attention to this? Look how they're split. Look how much nasty stuff is online about this Muslim who's supposed to be a cleric, a scholar, a caller to Islam. He has millions of followers. He has been to mosques all over the world. And we can Google his name and see people slandering him. And he's a dog. He's a filthy, ikhwani, khabith, shaitan. You don't think the kuffar see that? So if we do something to him, or harass him, or bother him, or physically violate him, the chances of those Muslims, or whatever they are, striking back and doing something, even picking up a picket sign and protest is what? 0 to none. It's a reality, unfortunately. This is also, in my humble opinion, a reflection of that park. And that's why we said that when we were there, that verse in the Quran, وَلَا يَزَالُونَ مُخْتَلِفِينَ. The people will continue to differ. We said that for a reason. And that there's a time in which you have to differ, no doubt. And there's a time in which you cannot differ. And there's a time in which you differ in a certain way with a certain manner. And everything is in that park. Every walking creature on this, what does the Quran say? That Allah creates, huh? Those, Yamshi ala batnihi. There's some creatures that walk on their what? 2 legs on their belly. وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يَمْشِي عَلَى أَرْبَعٍ. And those who walk on what? 4. Everything is in that park. This is a Jew, Orthodox Jew, Hasidic Jew, this type of Christian, this pastor, this Israelite, this 5%er, this one, everything is there. So there's a manner of talking and discussing and debating. There's a manner. And I'm not saying everything in the park is wrong, but there's a what? There is a manner, and there are going to be repercussions of arguing and debating with any person at any time in any way. And that's all I want to say about that right now. It's a manner, all right? So that's a reflection of that. At the end of the day, it's a sad state that we live in as Muslims today. It's a very sad state, except for the people whom Allah has shown mercy to. But that does not mean, and that does not necessitate, that just because we're doing bad, or we're split up, or we're separated, or we have differences, or a person makes a sin, or a sister is wearing pants, or a brother doesn't have a beard, that the Muslim's blood and his honor is just, an easy cup of water. And we should just, pour spring water, and that's more than the blood of a Muslim. No, it does not mean that. And the Quran and the Sunnah and the Athar of the Sahaba and the Salaf show us the value of the Muslim, his honor, his wealth, and his physical being and safe being, his blood. The Prophet ﷺ, he told us that the Muslim's blood is sacred except for 3 things. And he didn't say these are the 3 times which a Muslim's blood can be spilt. But he says, لا يهل دم امرئ مسلم. The Muslim's blood cannot be spilled except for 3 things. Proven, that's the asl. That's the default, is that the blood is off limit, cannot be touched unless such and such, such and such, and such and such. And those ways of the blood of the Muslim being spilled, that's by other Muslims. Someone who makes zina after being married. Someone who commits manslaughter or murder. Someone who apostates. That's the Muslims doing that, not the non-Muslims. Everyone understand this? And we all know the different narrations about cursing a Muslim and reviling a Muslim. La'na al-Muslim or la'na al-mu'min kin qatlihi. Cursing a Muslim is like killing him. Maybe even worse. So the Muslim's honor is sacred. You're not supposed to call your brother ugly and stupid and this and that. And the evil names and vile terms. You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to physically hit your brother. You're not supposed to make fun of your brother. You're not supposed to look at your brother's wife. You're not supposed to look at your brother's daughters. You're not supposed to steal from your brother. You're not supposed to spy on your brother and spook on your brother. That's all haram for Muslims to do, let alone for what? A non-Muslim. A non-Muslim. But it's a fruit and it's a result of our infighting. They say, I can smack a Muslim and no one's going to do anything. Now, I'm not from the UK. I'm not from New York City. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but where I come from in Philadelphia, when I was in school, things were very different. All right, it was a very common practice for non-Muslims to make fun of Muslims. Call them assalamu alaikum, or they would say, who's going to take off our khimar? Non-Muslims knew the word khimar. Let's rip off a khimar. And the moment you hit a Muslim, or you said the wrong thing to the wrong Muslim, or you took off a sister's khimar, you knew for sure there was no less than 50 Muslims waiting for you in the schoolyard when the school got out. No less than 50. And the only thing she did was make a phone call, or beep, or page someone, and it was 50 Muslims in the schoolyard that were going to do whatever they were going to do to the kafir who had enough nerve to hit this Muslim, or to take this khimar off, or to disrespect this sister, or to grab her, or grope her, or whatever she did. And it was known. And it was only a few times in which that happened, and I won't mention all of the details, and other things that I've seen with my own eyes, in which the non-Muslims got the message, don't bother the Muslims. The Muslims here, they're not violent. They don't wish to start trouble. They're not going around killing people, doing nothing, but you don't mess with them. A woman walks by, you don't whistle at her. You don't say nothing nasty to her. You don't make any type of push attempts at her. You let her walk by. And if you're stupid enough and foolish enough to say something about her body or how she's dressed, know for sure Akis is going to be there. And they're going to handle you. If you're stupid enough to smoke a cigarette in front of the masjid, or to smoke or to drink beer in front of the masjid and leave it there in front of the masjid, it's going to happen. I've seen things with my own eyes. So it's not about being violent. And it's not about people saying, oh, you're militant. No, it's not about that. But it's about basic preventative measures. We are peaceful people. But if you violate us, if you mess with us, know for sure. نَحْنُ أُولُو قُوَّةٍ. He said, وَأُولُو بَأْسٍ شَدِيدٍ. The army of Bilqis. It says, we are strong. If you want to go to war with this person, Solomon, we'll go to war. It's your affair. You decide. So the concept of Muslims defending themselves, protecting themselves, and Muslims not being weak and being strong and having the ability to defend your honor and your blood, it doesn't mean that you have to be violent. It doesn't mean that you're a jihadi or this, and it doesn't mean that. And that's a long discussion in itself. And the people have become so weak and so sick, and they've become so neutered. The men, they've just been neutered. In which, if you have a bodyguard, oh, why does he have a bodyguard? Or why are the brothers looking like that? Or why are they so tough looking? Or you shouldn't have a gun license? Or why do you need this person to stand here in the video? So what do you want? You want us to just be weak, small, and frail, and someone just come up? I disagree with what you're saying. Bang, smack you. I don't believe that what you're saying is right, and stab you or shoot you or violate somebody. Is that what you want? And know for sure that that's the best way of preventing drama is what? It's to show your strength. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ, he told the Sahaba to show the mushrikun their arms. Show them their arms, how strong and how brolic they were. And the mushriks, they said to themselves, when the Prophet ﷺ was coming to perform the Umrah, and they were prevented from making the Umrah, they came back to the sacred house, and it says, إِنَّهُ يَقْدُمُ عَلَيْكُمْ قَوْمٌ قَدْ وَهَنَتْهُمْ. They says that these people have been beaten down by the heat of Yathrib. They're weak. They're no strong, fierce warriors. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ says, show them how strong you are. And run when you make the tawaf. Make the ramal. Show them that you're not weak and that you're not scared. And did they fight them? But they shown them that they were what? They were strong and they were powerful and they took pride in them being Muslim men, Muslim warriors. And obviously that's going to have an effect on them having the nerve and the audacity to attack them. So we're not even getting to the concept of defending someone when they attack you, but do what? Preventing someone. So we follow the kuffar, we learn from the kuffar, the people love the kuffar, but what are they really actually learning from the kuffar? The kuffar right now, they have weapons that can destroy countries and continents. And they say that's made to do what? To prevent war. Don't even think about attacking us. Don't be so foolish, because all we have to do is press a button and your country will be what? No more. So the concept of prevention, and it doesn't mean that the nation is aggressive and they wish to attack a nation and conquer a nation, but it's what? Preventative measures. You have no preventative measures, let alone you don't have the ability to defend yourself, or you make some type of excuse for the kuffar and the mushrikeen, and you attack your brothers. He shouldn't have been out there. He's a mubtadi'. She's wearing jeans. She doesn't have an khimar. You make excuses for the kuffar and against the Muslims. That's a sad state that we're in. and defending the honor of the Muslim, the blood of a Muslim, it doesn't mean, like I said, that you have to be violent and have to be aggressive and transgress the boundaries. But this is basic common sense. We don't want no fight. But if you want to fight and if you want to harm us, what? We will harm you. That's the basic haqq of a human being, let alone of a Muslim, let alone of dawah, defending. What did the Prophet place upon the companions? What stipulation did he make upon the Ansar? Is that they would do what? They would physically what? Protect him physically. Because he knew if he had people trying to assassinate him and throwing rocks at him and doing harm to him, he would not be able to what? Spread the message. And that's why he says, Inna Qurayshan qad mana'atni an uballighum kalam Rabbi. The narration says that Quraysh has prevented me from passing on the speech of my Lord. Prevented me. So there can't be no successful dawah if the da'iyah is scared and afraid. If someone's going to punch him or kick him or stab him. And we go on and on and on, aspect after aspect after aspect after what? After aspect. From kitab, from sunnah, from common sense, from politics, with regards to the importance of self-defense, the necessity of self-defense, and the importance of preventing transgression against yourself and against your Muslim brother. And the sad state of many people who take the side of the kuffar, make excuses for the kuffar, they're apologetic to the kuffar, and the Muslims are killed, they're blown to pieces, they're raped and murdered and violated, and no one says anything. No one gets upset, no one minds, and the first thing they say, oh, they're Khawarij, or they're protesting, that's haram, or they're speaking about the rule, that's haram. And they'll find every excuse to desensitize the people to feeling bad for what's going on to the Muslims. And they'll find every excuse to make for the kuffar and the mushrikeen, and they'll find every excuse for the tyrannic Muslims that are hurting and harming their brothers to justify it and to defend it. So that's a sad state. And if I was in that park myself, and Allah knows best, I wasn't there. If I was there, I would try my best to defend the Muslims. And any other means, or whatever else you have to do to get the message across to anyone who wishes to violate a Muslim, should and must be done. Should and must be done according to what? The Quran and the Sunnah, let alone if it's an issue of necessity, durura, in which there's what? Extreme measures for what? Extreme situations. Wallahu a'lam.
MH from Farwaniya, Kuwait. Can I watch HadithDisciple in the masjid during shuruk time? I don't want to miss your live streams. You're on my role model.
May Allah bless you and bless all of the disciples in Kuwait. Inshallah ta'ala, there's much time that you have to make duha or ishraq as some call it. It's time. So if you want to watch the live stream, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, and you have the ability to also make the duha, do both. Do both. As far as if you can watch the live stream later on and make the duha, if you're going to miss it, perhaps that takes precedence. But we all know what Abdullah ibn Abbas and many of the Sahaba and the Salaf and the Imam said, that seeking knowledge is better than voluntary worship. But it doesn't mean that you neglect the voluntary worship every time. It doesn't mean that. But if you had an ultimatum, a choice, read hadiths or pray at nighttime, they would say what? Read hadiths. Because the hadiths are going to benefit you and benefit others. And the prayer that you make is a benefit, but it's only what? For you. As Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala told one of his disciples one night, they were sitting down, they were making review of ilm, of hadith and fiqh, and the man stood up to pray. And Ibn Abbas, he says, مَا الَّذِي قُمْتَ إِلَيْهِ بِأَفْضَلَ مِمَّا قُمْتَ عَنْهُ. He says, what you stood up to do is no better than what you what? Left. So the concept of doing both is best. Or some days do this and what? Some days do that. And if you had to pick and choose, pick that which is a benefit to your soul, to your mind, and to your deen, whether it's HadithDisciple or any other beneficial channel, any other beneficial lecture, which is live and which is limited, a limited what? Period of time. May Allah bless you. Thank you very much for sharing your love and your affection. And may Allah Azza wa Jal make me someone who's a better role model for you and for others. And may Allah hide my faults and my shortcomings and make me better than what you think I am. Ameen. Ahmed, no questions on takfir and khuruj or Ash'aris and Maturidis. Deal? Fadal. Is it permissible to cooperate with the Rafidah? That's in the same line. At the end of the day, Allah Azza wa Jalla says, وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى وَلَا تَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ. Cooperate upon birr and taqwa. And do not cooperate with each other upon sin and transgression. Fear Allah, Allah is severe in His punishment. So the Quran instructs us to work and to do good wherever that good may be. And it instructs us to avoid working upon evil and sin and vice wherever or whoever it may be. So there are different levels and the different situations and scenarios of a ta'awun. Sometimes which the ta'awun, the cooperation, has no strings attached. Sometimes it clearly has what? Strings attached. Sometimes you cooperate with someone, whether it's a dawah group or non-Muslims, whatever, and it's for a greater goal, which clearly dwarfs and trumps the mafsad, the harm. Sometimes the harm is greater than the benefit. Sometimes they could be what? Equal. Or sometimes it could just be madhnuna, presupposed. You think it's a harm in doing this, but I know there's what? There's no harm in doing it. So you have to weigh this situation out. So the Rafida, what are the Rafida? What are they? Are they an Islamic group? Are they a political group? Are they a race of people? Are they a country? Do they have goals and aims and objectives? Are there strings attached? Do they want you to work with them and then indoctrinate you? So on and so. You have to look at all of that. You have to what? Look at all of that. And many people, they make a mistake and they sloppily just broad brush the ruling. You can't make ta'awun with these people. You must and you can make ta'awun with these people. Absolutely. And that's not right. Every situation is different. Whether it's a non-Salafi masjid or Hizbi masjid and a Khwani masjid, whether it's cooperating with the kuffar, whether it's going with the mayor or the president or the governor. Everyone understand this? Whether it's getting on the television and speaking, going on a television program, whether it's this group that has a bad aqidah, it depends on the what? The situation. And it depends on what you're doing. Are you needed or can someone else do it? How much knowledge do you have? How strong are you in your own? Will you be indoctrinated and influenced and poisoned? All of these things are necessary for me to say yes or no. So certain situations say, don't go to that masjid. Don't go to this dawah program. Don't go on this radio station. Don't go interview this newspaper journalist. In other situations, I may say, what? You have to do it. Or I may say someone can do it who's better than you. It depends. But the general rule, the Rafida, their history is well known. What they're upon is well known. The things that they have done and that they plan to do and that they do, these things are known. So what good are you doing by cooperating with them? Everyone understand this? As far as something in the community, that's a different story. Stopping drugs, stopping abuse, signing a petition to close down a liquor store, a whorehouse, a crack house, something like that, which is a benefit for everyone. You align yourself with the non-Muslims, with the politicians, whatever it takes to shut down this evil place. That's not the same as an Islamic function. I don't understand this. But every situation is different. Every what? Every situation is different. And many people, they're very hypocritical, huh? They say you can't work with this person, but they work with someone who's 10 times worse. Huh? What do you say? I won't give some names to this one. What? But they're saying what? Speaking to someone who's what? Way further away. Hypocrisy. It's the staple characteristic of a what? Of the human, unfortunately. They say one thing and they do something totally different. Humans act like, as we say, what? Act like your sweat don't stink. It's reality. They act like their sweat doesn't stink. Oh, I won't do this. I won't go here. I won't be there. I won't be there. I know one person, I won't say who it was a scholar. He says, I know that it'll be a benefit for me to go to this masjid. I know, for sure. Yaqeen. That it'll be a benefit for me to go to this masjid. But it wouldn't be approved of by Sheikh Fulan. So therefore I won't go, because it'll cause a harm with Sheikh Fulan. So they won't go and benefit people, but they'll be aligned with a tyrant, or with a kafir, or with someone who's far worse, a fasiq. So we as human beings, we have hypocrisy with us. We say one thing, and we do the opposite. And we act like we're better than someone else, and act like our sweat doesn't smell. So you have to be mindful of that. Wallahu alam.
AD from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Assalamu alaikum. A 46-year-old divorcee brother with multiple kids wants to marry a 26-year-old divorcee sister who just has one kid. The sister is hesitant due to the huge age gap difference. What advice do you have for both the brother and the sister? Is this a valid reason for the sister to say no? The sister is also afraid of her family's and friends' disapproval.
Question comes from Minneapolis. With regards to a brother who's married and divorced, he has several kids, marrying a sister who was once married and now divorced, and she has a child. She's 26 and he's 46. What should they do? The sister is scared. The brother is afraid. If someone has cold feet, so on and so forth. Blah, 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 blah. Well, compatibility is the name of the game. If the 46-year-old brother is a good husband for the 26-year-old sister, good deen, good akhlaq, they're attracted to each other, he can provide for her, she can make him happy, let it be. What your friends say, what the people think, oh, you're robbing the cradle, as they say, you're marrying a young girl, he's your sugar daddy, blah, 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 how could you marry this old man like this, you only married him for his money? Let all of that stuff be said, as long as you go to sleep at night and you're happy. That's all that matters. I enter my home, my wife says, Assalamu alaikum, honey, how are you? How was your day? Here's your slippers, your robe, your warm milk and cookies, your dinner's on the table, your bathtub, the hot water's being ran, whatever you need. The oil's burning, incense, whatever makes you comfortable in your house. She's treating you like a king, right? And you spend time with her and you go to sleep, alhamdulillah, happy, and you feel at rest. What this one is saying, what that one is gossiping, what this one is tweeting or Instagramming or Facebook or this and that, my mother, that doesn't mean what? Doesn't mean anything. And the same applies to the opposite. Oh, this is a beautiful sister, you should marry her. She's your age, you're perfect for her, but I don't like her. I don't like the way she look. I don't like her character. She can't cook. She's this, she's rude, she's sarcastic, whatever the case may be. And every night I go to sleep miserable. And I go to sleep rolling over by myself, sleeping by myself. And I can't wait to leave the house the next day. Does it matter that my father is happy? My mother's saying, oh, she's a beautiful wife. She's going to give us many grandchildren. Does it matter that my friend says, you did the right thing, man, marrying her? Does that matter? So your own personal happiness is the only thing that you should consider. If you can please yourself and also please your parents and keep the people from gossiping and saying things, then alhamdulillah. And if you can't, if you got to pick and choose, go with your happiness. You don't live in my household. You don't pay my bills. You're not with me in the morning, at night. My wife is. She makes me happy. Alhamdulillah, that's all that matters. What is age but a number? What's age? Honestly, what's age? If you can fulfill your husband, the responsibilities of a husband, and she can fulfill the responsibilities of a wife, she has the necessary maturity. You're not an old, grumpy old man. You have the ability to laugh, to smile, to make a joke. You guys can get along. Alhamdulillah. The kids can live along together. Alhamdulillah. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not disliked. Who cares what people say? If you're miserable or if you're happy. Everyone understand this is extremely important. And the moment we try to please everyone and make everybody happy and fight every fight and get everyone to stop talking about us and say this, we have lost the game. So if you, as a husband, are good for that sister, as a wife, deen, khuluq, attraction, situation, compatibility, bismillah. That's the best thing to do. And just because she's your age or she's older or younger, it doesn't mean that she's going to be a good wife. And it doesn't mean that he's going to be a what? A good husband. Everyone understand this? And the same applies to race. The same applies to class. Just because you marry someone who comes from your race, it does not mean that you're going to be happy with them. And just because you marry someone from another race doesn't mean you're going to be miserable. What's important is that it's a good fit, a good match. That's all that matters. Wallahu alam. Khairan inshallah. What time is the iqamah? طيب تفضل. Go on.
AB from Brooklyn, New York. Assalamu alaikum. And now a Muslim asks me, quote, if the prohibition of perfume outside for a woman is due to it being an attractant, why doesn't the same apply for men? How should I respond?
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة
Allahu Akbar.
حي على
La
الفلاح
hawla wa la quwwata illa billah.
حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
طيب. With regards to if a non-Muslim said to me, if the prohibition of a woman not wearing perfume outside of the house is to avoid fitna, infatuation, and problems, then how is a man allowed to wear the oil or cologne outside? Is that not a fitna? Do women or are women not attracted to a man's cologne? So on and so forth. Tayyib. To keep things simple and brief, we have a good thing in this question, and we have something which is not so good. As far as the good thing is the concept of proper understanding and critical thinking of Islam and the rulings of Islam. All right, whether the person is trying to find fault in Islam and say this doesn't make sense, or whether a non-Muslim is really trying to figure out the ruling and the wisdom. Whether a Muslim is doubtful and doesn't know, or whether a Muslim has a doubt. That's a good thing to think and to research and to get the right answer. But we have to understand that in Islam, there are certain things which we believe in as they are. And there's certain things which are clearly based off of wisdom and science. And it is not dogmatic. We just do it just because. It's not just culture, but it's ibadah, it's worship. And there's a reason behind it, and there's a wisdom behind doing it or not doing it. All right? So the concept of, from the get-go, it kind of makes sense. Well, if a woman can't wear perfume, well, how can a man wear perfume? The women, they all smell him when he walks by. He smells good. They're attracted to him. Why can't a woman have that? A part of that is correct. But a part of it is incorrect, whereas women's perfume and men's cologne are different. The concept of the smell, the strength of the smell, how much is put on, and just the nature of the cologne and perfume is not the same. Even among non-Muslims, they'll acknowledge that. It's a difference. Everyone understand this? That's number one. Number two is the concept that men have desires, and so do women. Women lust for men, men lust for women. But the concept of a woman's body, a woman's voice, a woman's talk, a woman's walk, a woman's charm is not the same of a man. Men have charm. Some brothers are smooth, mashallah, handsome, strong, sharp dressers, nice looking brothers. But it's not the same as a what? It's a woman. It's nothing like that. Everyone understand this? And we don't have to quote any cultural references among the non-Muslims, people that aren't even Muslims, cultural references that prove that reality. Men have an attraction and a fitna, but the fitna and the attraction of women is like what? It's a huge difference between the two. Everyone understand this? Last but not least is, type, that's one reason. One reason doesn't prove that there are any other reasons. Just because that's from the wisdom of a woman not wearing perfume outside the house, but a man can, it doesn't mean that's the only reason. Last but not least, as we've said many times before, and we'll say it again, The pure organic sunnah, sunnatul mutahara, the pure organic way would never ever be politically correct. And according to political correctness or the modern age or this movement or this nation or this way of government and politics, there are things in Islam which will be unfair to a woman. It's the way it is. There are things in Islam which will be unfair to a man. That's the way it is. And there is not absolute equality like we said last night, especially in gender. وَلَيْسَ الذَّكَرُ كَالْأُنْثَى. Allah says the male is not like the female. أَلَا يَعْلَمُ مَنْ خَلَقَ. Does the one who created not know? He knows that this suits the male and this does not suit the male. This is good for the woman, it's not good. وَهَكَذَا. It's the rules. And we are servants, we submit, we believe based off of our faith, our understanding, our tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And from that is accepting His legislation. So if you're willing to risk your religion and your hellfire or paradise, your well-being in hereafter because you can't eat pork, or because it's unfair that a man can marry 4 wives and a woman can only have 1 husband, or men can wear cologne, if that's what you want to do and that's how you look at it, tafaddal. That's your choice, as the Quran clearly says. Those who believe, falyu'min, let them believe. Woman sha, and those who believe what? Falyakfur, let them disbelieve. It's your personal choice. La ikraha fi din. We don't force anyone to accept the religion. But make sure that you're not risking and gambling something that is far more detrimental than that. A pork chop, 1 husband, 4 wives, cologne perfume versus eternal misery in the fire of hell. I mean, what type of thought process are you using? And now Muslims, they'll say that. I think Islam is a good religion, but I can't give up pork. I would love to be a Muslim, but it's not right that men can have more than 1 wife. Or that I have to cover up like this. Many non-Muslims, they say this on a daily basis. You got too many rules. I love smoking weed. I love going to the club. I love dancing. I can't leave that alone. Okay. If you feel that it's the truth and you're willing not to give that submission to your God and to your Creator because you want to do this and you do that, then you're an utter fool. Let alone the fact that many Muslims, they don't give the proper dawah. They start talking about these issues, these trivial issues, without establishing tawheed and the fundamentals. What do you think and feel and know about God and your Creator? Is He perfect or imperfect? A man or not a man? Rested after He created the heavens and earth or didn't? Does God exist or He doesn't exist? We saw this in California, right? He wanted to talk about what this issue and that issue, and he's debating on does God exist? Where can we go? We talking about Sharia and this ruling. And you don't even believe in the Creator existing. So you have to establish that you have been made and created. You did not exist. Someone brought you into existence. And the one who brought you into existence requires things from you. And that is service, submissiveness, humility, love, and devotion, and accepting His rules. And from that is not eating pork. From that is polygamy versus polygyny. From that is not wearing perfume, wearing cologne, etc., etc., etc. Once you have accepted that Islam is not a choice, your maker, He created you. Did you have a choice in that? Did you ask to be created? Do you ask to breathe? Do you ask to use the bathroom? Do you ask to have sensitive fingertips? Do you ask to have taste buds? But you have them. All of these gifts were given to you. Now you must repay those favors and show gratitude. And that is not a choice. And that is what Islam is. So there's clear proof that there is a creator because you exist. And there's clear proof that there's only one creator. And that's the magnificent order of the universe. If He's one creator, then who is that one creator? And how do we know Him except through the revelation? You take them through the steps. Once they get all of those things, then bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, they'll understand what to do and what not to do, and their faith will become strong. How many Muslim women still wear perfume today? How many Muslims may drink alcohol or do other haram acts? So that's not how you look at submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have to look at it a different way. That's what I would say. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam.